Hi guys, so this week all we heard on Black YouTube was about Ralph Richard Banks' article in the New York Post. Should black women marry white men? The answer is simple. Yes. I think that people should marry who they want to marry, and why should anyone limit their options? I mean, when I was younger, I would never have limited my options. I was looking for the most beautiful, feminine, fit, and agreeable woman I could find. It didn't matter to me what race she was, because I think we limit ourselves by having some form of belief that we own, we're obligated to another set of people. As a black man, I don't believe that a black woman should want me. And I hope in the other way around, as a black woman, that as a black man, I should want her. I think that people are people. And the fact that, there's so many beautiful black women who are single, of course they should open their options. But they have to be realistic and practical, because it doesn't make sense to say to someone, black women should marry white men. It's more complicated than that, because the natural order of things is that men should propose to women. And I've heard it said, and I agree with it, it's more the other way around, that hopefully there's a market out there outside, a vibrant market where there are a lot of men, non-black men, who want and desire black women to marry them, because that's the natural order of things. And my thoughts are, if a black woman or any woman is feminine, fit, agreeable, yes, I think that she is in the market for all men, because a lot of people mistake the standards that different men of different races have. I think it's all the same. I think they're all looking for that same type of woman. The type of woman that they believe they can share a life with, that would be faithful to them. That's beautiful, because what's important also is men tend to want, and this is not all men, they want someone that when they walk on the street with her, there is great pride in that. Hey, I got this beautiful woman. It's an archaic way, but yes, it's still there. And you still want to walk with a woman that you are happy and proud that you actually went the extra mile and you got this woman. And as I said, beautiful women, regardless of race, they are in high demand. And sometimes people say, there is a imbalance. There's always an imbalance. I believe that there's always a shortage of extremely beautiful, feminine, fit women. That's a shortage. And that shortage is evidenced by OnlyFans. Look at OnlyFans. Men will spend thousands and thousands of dollars on OnlyFans. Why? Because they're desiring a trait. They're desiring, time with the type of woman that they want. And many of these men possibly can't get these women. And so my thought is less on the women, but more on the men. Men are looking for these feminine, fit women, and as many black women should qualify in this zone of feminine, fit, agreeable, and beautiful. That's where you need to qualify in. Then you have the gamut of any man. And if a black woman says, hey, I exclusively want to date or marry a white man, that's her choice. If she says exclusively a Chinese or Asian man or Japanese man, that's her choice. But you have to bring yourself into that feminine, fit, agreeable mode. Then you are open to all these choices. And that's why I want people to be realistic and practical, because once you're realistic and practical, then you achieve your goal. You achieve what you want to achieve. Because, I live in Canada, and I can tell you, and I used to have close family in Britain, and I still do have extended family in Britain. And one of the things I can tell you is that after the immigrants, after the second or third generation, they're now believing that, hey, I am part of the main fabric. And being part of the main fabric means your dating options are open. Let's take a look at the Irish or the Italians or Germans, when they probably first went to the US or Canada or Polish folks, they had a language barrier and they prefer to stay within their own groups, and they tended to marry in their own groups. But you know what? When their kids went to school and possibly went to college, they now saw different people and were interwoven into the Canadian fabric or the American fabric, or maybe it's the British fabric. And in the end, by the next generation, their dating options expanded, and by the next generation, they're just proud to talk of their heritage, but the truth is they consider themselves to be Canadian. And a lot of things that we have to look at with Black Americans is the real first generation of Black Americans who were entering the fabric of America this was after the 60s. 30 years later, in the 90s, that's what you have to call the second generation. Now we're entering into the third generation, in the 2020s. And in that third generation, a lot more people are intermarrying. And you can see that it happens, time after time. I think what's happened is that there is a definite burgeoning movement of Black women to enter into that third generation expectation that they will date out, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't think necessarily anyone is holding back anyone from doing that. They should just go forward and do it. Many Black men are entering into that, and you can see it. People should go look at Britain. In Britain, about 50% of Black men are in an interracial relationship. 50%. And Black women are not extremely far behind. It's about 35%. And that happens after generations and generations. And I can tell you, the first real we call it mass migration into Britain of Black people, I think they call it Windrush, was in the 50s. And it's the same thing. First generation, second generation, third generation. And that's going to happen, over time. But what's important is not to focus on race. And I think that's what the limiter is. There is now less of a shared experience among Black people. Different Black people have different experiences, and we have to understand that as time goes by. And we need to get rid of this ownership of one another or exclusivity to one another, because the truth of the matter is, you want to be part of the mainstream. You want to get a job in the mainstream. You want to have hobbies that are mainstream. And, after a while, race becomes less of a stricture that's keeping you out from doing things that you want to do. So I think that the logical thing is, yes, everyone should open their options, but they have to understand the dating market tends to have this uniform desire for feminine fit women, and it has a uniform desire for men that are on more of the prosperous side, who are providers. And let's not use that word protector, because we are all under the law, and we all have a police department and a law force. Protector, I'm not sure protector, people interpret that in different ways, but what people are looking for are providers and people who are, forward thinkers, strategic thinkers, and who will take care of a family and have that commitment. That's what I think men are being told, and they should be fit also. They should be fit, and they should be agreeable too, because you don't want a man that is argumentative and constantly creating issues. So my thoughts are, women should pursue their options, so should men, but do it in a practical way. A broke man going on the dating market and saying he wants the premier woman, that's going to always end up either with rejection or an issue. A woman who is not feminine fit or agreeable has to sort that out when she gets to the dating market. It's just the reality of the market. So let's support everyone in doing this. And also, let's improve ourselves. It always has to end up back with self-improvement. You improve yourself, you will get the better deal. Thanks, guys.